Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. It's me, Kia Simone, and we got to get into the final installment of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Before we do, y'all know the drill. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And welcome to all my new subscribers. I haven't said that in so long. Hey y'all, welcome. Now, before we get into the review, I did want to address a couple things. First of all, y'all probably saw my post when I was losing it. I mean, absolutely losing it, trying to get part 2 uploaded. I don't know why YouTube was beefing with me. I ain't did nothing to them. I ain't talked with their mama or nothing. And they just wouldn't let me upload my video. But as soon as I made that post, I guess snitches don't get stitches. They get their videos uploaded because it finally uploaded after that. But I did want to address the fact that the reason, because somebody said, oh, you got a new update system. Hold on now. I'm trying to get better with my communication. I don't want your judgment, okay? But I also want y'all to know, I don't want y'all to think that me having a lack of schedule, because I be trying, stuff just be going on. But I, first of all, don't believe in coming to y'all and running down a whole bunch of excuses. And let me tell you everything that happened, because in the words of my childhood pastor, an excuse ain't nothing but a dressed up lie. And I don't fancy myself a liar. And people don't be giving a damn about your excuses. They don't give a damn about what you got going on. You can tell them you got jumped by a pack of squirrels. We don't give a damn. When is the video gonna be up, ma'am? But I also want y'all to understand that I truly value y'all. I don't take y'all for granted. I don't figure, well, I just put the video up when I put it up and they'll be there when I get there. I really do value y'all, and I want y'all to understand that stuff be going on in the background, and I'm a one-woman band. I do everything. So sometimes things get pushed back. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed. Sometimes I got a whole lot of stuff going on in the background. But I do be working to try to get these videos up and done on time, and then try to get over myself and whatever issues I'm dealing with, and imposter syndromes and just all them stuff. So when I'm delayed, y'all I just know I'm working to try to get stuff up and out as fast as I can. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all, I will never be the first or the fastest to get anything out, because I have certain principles that I learned like back in elementary school that I still live by. I remember I had this thing where I knew I was smart, and there were these little boys who would rush to do their time tests so they would be the first ones done. And my teacher had to tell me, just because they're the first ones done don't mean that they have the best work, don't mean that they have the best grade. So you never rush to be first, you work to be best. And I live by that. So that you ain't gonna never see me be the first and the fastest. But I do want y'all to know that I truly, sincerely value and appreciate y'all. And I'm not giving y'all my esticates. I just be having stuff going on. So, but anyway, let's get into the review. And before we get into the review, y'all remember Cynthia said something in part 2 about Kenya hasn't spoken to me since the whole thing that went down at her salon and yada, yada, yada. Well, Kenya took to the internet and said, I got something for that. If y'all don't want to invite me to the reunion, that's all right. I got the internet at my fingertips. I got something to say. So she did a live, and she was explaining that Cynthia is sitting up there playing like she just got kicked to the curb, and she doesn't know why Kenya is treating her this way, and yada, yada, yada. Kenya said it ain't got nothing to do with that whole salon incident. She said Cynthia is down in everybody's text messages and group chats telling her damn business. And that's why she ain't with Cynthia. She said that they were really good friends, and I guess they confided in each other. She trusted Cynthia with secrets and certain information, and I guess Cynthia went sharing certain information with other people that she wasn't supposed to share with those people. And so Kenya stopped fucking with her. And I'm gonna tell you, I know that we're not supposed to be identifying people by their zodiacs and trying to run down a whole personality and all that, but I'm telling you, that is very Aquarian. That is some Aquarian shit. As soon as you cross me the wrong way, oh, you down there telling my business? Well, you tell them you ain't gonna never talk to me again. How about that? We will cut you off and act like you never existed. I don't know what it is. I don't know why we like that. Because I'm like that. As people are calling me, you still mad at me? No, I'm mad at you. I just don't fuck with you. So I understand. I don't know what she told. I don't know what she did. But that's why Kenya said she ain't with Cynthia. And Kenya also said she won't be back for season 17. Now, she did mention that there's supposed to be 2 new ladies added. One of them is coming from Love and Hip Hop, and the other one is a restaurateur. The whole internet is speculating that it's K. Michelle and Pinky Cole. And I'm going to tell you, if they bring K. Michelle and Pinky Cole on this damn show, that's gonna probably be the last of me. I can't. I love K. Michelle as an artist, but even her on Love and Hip Hop was pushing it. Now she is with the antics, and she brings a lot of antic style entertainment, but to love and hip hop. Like, I just don't find her to be somebody who would be a great fit for Real Housewives of Atlanta. And then Pinky Cole, I absolutely loved Pinky Cole. I loved the fact that she seemed to be this very self-made empire of a woman. But then the whole thing came out that she wasn't paying her people, and I can't get behind that. And I don't want to see that on no damn Real Housewives of Atlanta. I like, what is the struggle with finding great personalities who live opulent lives that are fun and entertaining to watch? Because I don't want to see K. Michelle with all a bunch of antics and screaming in people's face and bringing up Idris Elba out of nowhere. I don't want to see that shit. But that's neither here nor there. Now, let's get into the review. So part 3 of the reunion picks up in the middle of Shamia and Porsha yelling and screaming at each other, and they calling each other all kinds of liars. And then Shamia brings up the fact that Porsha brought up Shamia's mom on the internet and said something about, you got the nerve to bring up my mom and say that my mom did something egregious to your mom. Porsha said she did. Shamia said, I have never brought up your mom, and anytime anybody asks me about your mom, I say that that's not my business. So now Andy, being nosy and doing his job, he said, well, what happened between the moms? So Porsha starts telling the story, and the story, according to Porsha, is that both of their moms were in the childcare business, and they used to share tips and information back and forth. Well, Porsha said her mom found out that her location was going into foreclosure, and Shamia's mom eventually went behind Porsha's mom's back and bought the location as soon as it went into foreclosure. And she says that the way that she and her mom found out that Shamia's mom bought the location is that they were riding by and saw that they were taking Porsha's mom's sign down and putting Shamia's mom's sign up. Well, Shamia piped up to say that they hadn't been speaking for years prior to Shamia's mom buying the business. She said, now I ain't gonna get into why they weren't speaking, because it's gonna really go left then. And that's what I think it is. Let me tell you, when that whole thing originally went down, when Porsha got on the internet and posted all that, the first thought I had is it got something to do with a man. And I said it in my review, but then as I was editing my review, the whole story came out about this daycare business. And I'm like, well, I mean, I guess because I get the emotional side of it, that I don't care what people tell you. People will say business is just business. Business is personal. People choose who they will do business with by how they feel about them personally. Business is personal. I don't care what anybody says. So I get having an emotional attachment to your business. I get feeling like, well, damn, of all the people to buy my business, it's my best friend or my former best friend. But then I also get the other side of the coin, that somebody is going to buy it eventually. Now, I get not wanting to see your friend take that from you. And maybe Porsha's mom felt like, well, if you could afford to buy the business, you could have afforded to help me and save it. I don't know. But when Shamia says that they were not speaking for years before that, and there's a deeper reason, and she don't want to get into that, I just believe it has something to do with a man. I truly, truly, truly do. But when the whole daycare story came out and they were saying, well, that's the reason, I just kind of was like, well, I'll back up off that, because you know you don't want to go too deep on nobody's mom and say, yeah, they probably was fighting over me. But I truly believe they was fighting over man. I don't know who slept with who, man, who tried who, man, who took who, man. I don't know, but I believe it got something to do with a man. That's just what I think. And I noticed that Porsha got stoically quiet when Shamia said that there's a much deeper reason and we're not going to go into it because it's really going to go left. I mean, Porsha went on mute. And Andy said, well, I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to go deeper into it because that is y'all's moms. Yeah, we don't want to go there because your mama is already fighting words and y'all already going deep and telling all the business. And if it get any deeper, wigs is going to be on the floor. So Andy tries to move the conversation forward, and he's talking about how there was chatter behind each other's back. They were talking about each other behind their back. And Porsha said, no, it wasn't each other's back. Shamia said, yes, it was each other's because you were over there talking about me with Britt. Porsha said, no, me and Britt were talking about what you said to Britt about me. And Cynthia chimes in. I do not like Cynthia in this, where she's supposed to be this wise auntie role, please. Cynthia speaks up to say, well, Shamia, I'm going to tell you that it was Britt who said that you showed her the text messages. Cynthia, we know. Thank you so much. Cynthia said, y'all stuff goes way back to before this show. And Porsha said, yeah, we had a beautiful relationship prior to this show. Once we started filming this show, she took it to the left. Shamia said, yeah, I took it to the left. It was all me. Here's the thing, Porsha is not going to take any accountability. Even if you didn't have the same kinds of conversations that Shamea had, you still shut your friend out. To the degree that she's having these on-air conversations with you about why won't you film with me and why can't we be friends on air like we are off air. And you told the lady something about they would have to pay me more for that. Like, you have to take accountability for not showing up for your friend in the way that you should have. So now Andy asked Shamea, is there anything from the season that you feel like you can apologize or take accountability or ownership for? She said, yes, I do own talking about my friendship problems with Porsha with these ladies. And Drew said, well, why? And she said, well, I wish I had a third party there and somebody that was on my side, because it was y'all that was saying that y'all felt like the friendship was lopsided. Well, why would you entertain the conversation if you didn't agree? Why wouldn't you just say, I know how it might look to y'all, but I know my friendship from the inside, and it's not what it looks like from the outside looking in, if that's how you felt. But anyway, she's saying how the ladies were saying that they felt the relationship was lopsided, but then when they took it back to Porsha, they took it back as though Shamea said all this, and it wasn't them that was saying that this was their observation of the friendship. Drew said, hold on, because when you, me, and Angela went to lunch, there was never a single question from me or Angela about the state or status of your friendship with Porsha. She said it felt like this was something you needed to get off of your chest, and I was okay listening to you because I guess you needed a safe space. Shamea said, well, apparently I didn't find a safe space. Drew said, but I never took it back. Angela said, well, I took it back. And Shamea cut her off and said, yeah, you took it back wrong. Angela said no, and Drew said, you had us pinky swear because you wanted to get all this stuff off your chest. Porsha chimed in and said, yeah, she was worried about the fans and the commenters and what people would think. And the thing is, Shamea and Porsha are truly the same person. They are the same person in two different bodies, which is why they have been able to have a friendship for as long as they have. Neither one of them is going to truly take accountability for what they've done and what they've said. So Andy turns to Porsha and said, it seems like you're having more of a hard time with everything that has happened after the show. Porsha said, yeah, my issue is that we have a private friendship group outside of this show. And the ladies in that friendship group are echoing the same thing that these ladies are saying, that she went to them telling them that I wasn't happy for her getting a peach, that I didn't celebrate her. So rather than own it, Shamea starts yelling at Porsha about, these ladies have come to me and told me that you didn't want me to be a peach holder, that you just wanted me to be a friend of the show. Porsha said, now you lying. And she turned to Andy and said, Andy, have I not always wanted Shamea to be an actual housewife? And Andy said, yes, you have. Now, my thing is, depending on the timing of when Porsha got all this information, like if the ladies in their outside friend group told Porsha this before they started filming or as they're filming, then that would kind of make it make sense as to why Porsha was distant with Shamea during filming or didn't necessarily want to film a bunch of scenes with her. Because why am I gonna get on camera with you and be buddy best friends, we BFFs and we taking pinky swears and Girl Scouts and all that bullshit when you are behind my back talking about me to anybody who will listen? Why would I do that? So if that's the case, maybe Porsha ain't as bad a friend as she seems. Maybe Shamea is manipulating the dynamic to make it seem like Porsha is, just treating me so badly and she's icing me out and she's just doing this because now I'm a full-on housewife, when the truth is you are behind the scenes dragging that girl name through mud. And Porsha said, even beyond the whole what she's telling people on the back end, I'm watching her do interviews on the front end where people are asking her about the state of our friendship, and she's saying, well, now that I have a peach, it's different. And she said, well, why is that, Shamea? Shamea said, well, it is different. Porsha said, I've never talked about you, Shamea, and I'm watching you do interviews saying that I didn't want you to be a housewife. You're saying things like I did or tried to sabotage your engagement. Shamea said, are you serious right now? And Porsha says, I never did anything to sabotage you. Shamea said, y'all sat on this damn TV show and had a conversation about I was having threesomes with Kandi and Todd. And yes, that could have sabotaged my engagement. So when Shamea brought up the whole accusation about Kandi and Todd, she said, y'all did that. I didn't do that to myself. Porsha said, yeah, but nobody was trying to sabotage your engagement. Shamea said, I said you could have ruined or sabotaged my engagement. Porsha said, but you would have played a part in sabotaging your own engagement because I kissed Kandi in the club, you kissed Kandi in the club. Well, goddamn. Kandi got to start keeping her candy to herself. Why is you kissing every damn body in the club? What is going on? And If that's the case, if you know you and your friend are some super freaks and y'all around there looking all in each other's mouths and all kind of shit, why would you get on TV and put that shit out there as soon as she gets engaged? Especially if y'all been keeping everything secrets all along. Why would you put that out there? It does give trying to undermine her marriage or her engagement, her relationship. It does give trying to throw a monkey wrench in the plan. Because remember now, Shamea got the rich African first. And apparently the rich African is the goal amongst all these damn ladies. So why would you? Like, why all of a sudden, especially when Shamea had been helping her keep secrets about Bolo and whoever else, why would you throw that out there? Or why would you sit silent when Phaedra throws that out there? It kind of gave the same way that Porsha was the mouthpiece to put that little piece of information out there about Candy that caused that whole debacle. It gave that, I don't know if Phaedra got what she was saying from Porsha, but it gave you let Phaedra be the mouthpiece to try to drag your friend to hell. Now, Phaedra is over there trying to excuse it away, saying that happened back in 2016, and Porsha saying that she's still doing interviews talking about it now. Here's the thing. If you bust somebody upside their head in 2016, and 2025, it does not go away that you bust them upside their damn head. And if they are still affected by the fact that you bust them upside their damn head, they have every right to talk about it, especially when you have never taken accountability, you have never expressed any remorse, and you have never offered an apology. Porsha over there screaming, you just did an interview talking about this. You still talking about stuff from 10 years ago. You're nasty. So Porsha goes on to say how I do as much press as you, probably more, because I've been on the show longer and I get asked the same exact questions that you ask, but I don't say anything to disparage our friendship. Yeah, because you're the damn one who put that shit out there or sat there as a sidekick to the person who put that shit out there about your friend. Why would you be the person having the conversation to say, yeah, we said some tough shit about my friend? Why would you? And you can't take ownership for the fact that you skipped her wedding and whatever other ways you weren't supportive to her. You can't take ownership for that today. Why would we ever expect that you would sit in an interview with anybody else on any other given day and say, yeah, I wasn't the best friend. I could have been a better friend. Porsha is saying how I thought we had a beautiful friendship. Shamea said, yeah, I thought we had a beautiful friendship too, until I found out this season that you didn't come to my wedding in Kenya because we were beefing. Here's the thing. Shamea and Porsha are both fighting to be the victim. They are fighting to be more of the victim than the other and prove that the other one has done them more wrong than they've done their friend. That, like, they are truly two sides of the same coin. And sometimes when people are too alike, eventually they clash. And that's what I think we're seeing happen. So then Andy turns his question to Kelly and he said, you and Shamea seem to have developed a friendship, and asked her what she thinks about what's going on between Shamea and Porsha. And she said, yes, we built a beautiful bond and a beautiful friendship. And Porsha over there looking like, yeah, but you just gonna use my words, girl. Kelly said, but she's always encouraged Shamea to repair the situation between Shamea and Porsha. And she was saying that I just want you to tell Porsha how you feel. This is your moment. This is your chance to get it all off your chest. Porsha starts hollering about, this is not her moment. This is not her moment to get it off her chest. You know what her moment was? Her moment was when we had that one-on-one. And her moment was when I called her on the phone. Now this is just beat up on Porsha. Girl. Now here's the thing. When they had that one-on-one, Porsha was not receptive to Shamea. And even if with this new information about Shamea was in the background talking to their friends, even if that was the issue at the time, she did the exact same thing they have a problem with Shamea for doing. You sat there and just did not tell your friend what your problem was with her. She was very passive aggressive. She was doing all kinds of things, clanking the dishes and I'm going to the bathroom and crying and carrying on. She was not receptive at all when she had her moment. And it seems like Porsha doesn't want to give her the moment, the opportunity to get things off of her chest. And I truly think that the reason why is because Porsha knows that there are points when she has been dead wrong. And she does not want to have to face being dead wrong and being held accountable. So she is going to fight just like Shamea is to be the victim. Shamea explains that after they had that one-on-one, she thought that she and Porsha were moving forward with a clean slate. She said, but after that one-on-one, Porsha started distancing herself. She said, even around the time of Blondie's funeral, she said, I was reaching out to Porsha to try to hang out. Porsha said, girl, I was grieving. Shamea said, I understand, and I'm not trying to discredit that. I'm just saying that I was continually reaching out to her. And Porsha's over there doing all these hand motions and things. Shamea said, see, and that right there. Porsha said, because you're using things against me, can you ever phrase a sentence without trying to make me look bad? Shamea said she always thinks I'm trying to make her look bad, when in truth, I'm just trying to express myself. The problem with Porsha is Porsha does people any kind of way, but then when it comes time to present that to other people, she wants them to package it like she did them right when she knows that she didn't. You cannot mistreat people and then want people to tell a totally different story. I always tell people, if you want to be remembered well in my story, if you want me to have a good story to tell about you, treat me well in real time, because I'm not going to change the story when it comes time to tell it. So Shamea goes on to say that she never had any intention to try to sabotage Porsha, and Porsha screaming, too late. Shamea said this is why it's difficult to even have a conversation. And I cannot imagine truly sitting there with them trying to manage this conversation. It is absolutely ridiculous. Shamea says she wouldn't have even known that there was beef in terms of the whole Brit, Porsha, and everything that was going on between all of them unless Cynthia had come told her like she did. She said now she was the one, Shamea was the one that told Porsha what Brit did. I guess she means in regard to talking about Shamea's daughter. I don't know what exactly she's referencing. She said, but I told Porsha what Brit did, and the next thing I know, I see them posting online, they hanging out together, and in my mind, I figure, well, Porsha made her decision. Porsha said that's a decision that had nothing to do with her. What you did is what you did. You didn't go be friends with Kelly because you weren't friends with me. Well, Kelly pipes up to say that I feel like your friendship with Brit is highly calculated because Brit don't with you like that. So once again, Andy asked Cynthia to chime in like the auntie, and she's saying how when you have any cracks in your foundation of your friendship and you come on a platform like this, everything is magnified, and so the cracks are going to be exacerbated and it's going to all fall apart. She said, but y'all have a real friendship, and I feel like y'all should take baby steps to heal it. Y'all should not throw your friendship away. So Andy asked, is there anything that either one of you need to hear from the other to try to move forward? Porsha said no. This year has been the most difficult year ever. I am literally at the bottom, girl. So at this space and time in my life, I want to be where I'm comfortable, and I'm not comfortable in my friendship with Shamea, just like I feel like Shamea is not comfortable in her friendship with me. And sometimes friendships run their course, just like any other relationship. And I know that people are saying they've been friends forever and they have so much history. And some people are even speculating that this is a whole scheme and a scam that they came up with together to secure the bag, that they are beefing for the cameras and they are friends behind the scenes. I personally do not believe that. I think this is some real life beef. I think this is really going down. And sometimes when the beef gets too deep and the disrespect gets too deep, it's hard to recover. Even if you're able to forgive each other and wipe the slate clean and say, you know, I'm not mad at you, there are no hard feelings, it's hard to try to come back and have the same kind of friendship that you had before, because you cannot undo the hurt feelings. You cannot unsay the spiteful things. You can't undo all of that. It would be beautiful if they can recover their friendship and they can heal and they can have a whole nother leg to their friendship. But I just feel like their friendship has run its course. Porsha said, I'm only human. I can only do but so much, and I don't have anything else to offer to the situation, this friendship, this issue right now. And so Shamea said, well, that's the difference between Porsha and I, is that even when I didn't have the bandwidth to deal with the issues of our friendship because I had my own stuff going on, I made the bandwidth. I found the bandwidth to address the issues or be there for our friendship. And she said she did that because she had that kind of love for Porsha. So much so that people were calling her Porsha's lapdog. So it hurts her to hear Porsha say things like she thinks she came on the show to sabotage her, but ultimately she wants peace for everybody. So Andy wraps this particular segment by sharing with Shamea that her takeaway from this whole season and this whole breakdown of their friendship is that when she has an issue with a friend or anybody, that she should find a way to vocalize it, not suppress it. Don't laugh it off. Don't pretend that it doesn't bother you, because we see how that turns out. And she basically said that she owns and accepts that and she's going to work on that. But that's kind of her coping mechanism, that when she's already overwhelmed or feel like she doesn't really have it in her to address certain issues, that she just sweeps things under the rug. And I'm going to tell you, as a person who used to do stuff like that, like I would just swallow stuff. And I would always feel like, or I feel like I was often made to feel like my feelings were too big for other people to handle. Other people could get their shit off, or their issues or how they felt needed to be addressed. But when it came to me, it was too deep and it was too much. And so I learned to tend to everybody else and just suppress me. And sometimes you got to get to the point where it don't matter who you lose, because you're losing yourself by trying to take care of everybody else and protect everybody else's feelings. Sometimes you have to get to the point where you are protecting you the way that you are protecting everybody else. You got to be able to tell them the truth. The same way they ain't got no problem treating you like that, you got to be okay telling them how it makes you feel when they treat you like that. And if that means that they're going to remove themselves from your life because they can't handle being held accountable, then good riddance to bad rubbish. So be it. Because I'd rather lose somebody who can't handle treating me well or respecting and valuing my feelings than to hold on to somebody at the expense of my feelings. And honestly, I've had a friendship in this very same way, where they always had to be the center of the world and I never mattered. And when I finally realized and accepted that, the way that I tested it is I stopped calling. I just stopped calling this person. I said, I'm going to see how long it takes for them to reach out to me. And it was weeks that went by. Weeks went by. And what happened was something happened in their life where they needed me. They needed to talk to me. They needed to get some stuff off. And the way that they called was, oh, I just realized I ain't talked to my friend in so long. No, you just confirmed for me that I'm the only one keeping this relationship alive. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the CPR. And that's okay, because sometimes we're holding on to history more than we're holding on to substance. Sometimes there's more history in the relationship than there is anything that is serving you in the moment in that relationship. And it's okay to let them go and wish them well. You don't have to have bad blood. It ain't got to be no beef. I ain't got to be mad when I see you. I ain't got to talk bad about you to nobody. It can be all good. And we can relish in the great times that we had, but we just cannot be friends. We cannot have the kind of relationship that we have been straining to have for years. And this is a side note, and I have avoided saying this because I know that she does have a lot going on in her life. And in general, there's a lot that I don't say. I be saying a lot of stuff, but there's a lot more stuff that I don't say because I don't be wanting to go too deep and too far sometimes. But Shamea, when you look into Shamea's eyes, something about her eyes give me deeply sad. Like she is sad on a soul level. And I don't know why. I don't know what may have happened to her. And I'm not saying it's got anything to do with her current life. It may be from childhood. I don't know what it is. But there is something that is deeply sad within her. And I think that's why she feigns happiness so much. And she does so much to seem happy and over the top and joyous. And look at me. And I'm so, like, I think she is deeply, deeply sad. And that will not be resolved until you stop trying to hold up the facade and hold all these fake friendships together and keep this whole image that you have, until you let all that shit drop and tell the truth to yourself about what is going on inside you and get the help that you need, whatever that help may be. Until you're willing to do that, I think she's going to continue to have these kinds of issues, because that's what she's really suppressing, is dealing with whatever that deep-rooted sadness is in her. So we move on to the Drew segment. We're going to get into the whole dysfunction that is her and Ralph's marriage. They played the whole montage of clips, and we see the clip with her mom talking to her about how her kids are not behaving and how they're being affected by the whole divorce. And Andy starts his questions by asking Drew, has she seen any improvement in her children's behavior since that conversation with her mom? And she said that she has since put her children in therapy because she realized that there was a lot of dysfunction going on, and she was in denial about that before she had that conversation with her mom. And she does feel like putting them in therapy has made a great difference. So then Andy brings up that apparently Ralph tweeted that Drew's mom needs to watch her mouth, because after Drew's dad passed away, Drew's mom spent all his money and Ralph had to bail her out. I'd have whooped his ass. Child, Drew said that's a new low for him because her dad was a prominent pediatrician in Chicago where she's from. And now you're basically trying to tarnish his legacy. Let me tell you something. Ralph is the worst kind of man you can get involved with, and that's a man who is jealous of you. Because now he's out there, but he got his own song that he's putting out. Like everything Drew does, he tries to rival it. And then on top of that, you're going out of your way to try to disrespect her mother and the legacy of her deceased father. Like he is the absolute worst. Now on the heels of them talking about how disrespectful this nasty motherfucker is, they said there's a clip of Drew and Ralph in the kitchen in their house cooking, where he putting meat in her mouth and all kind of stuff that went viral. Andy said, y'all look very happy there. Drew said, well, that was an effort for us to co-parent. But then Ralph took to the internet and was saying something, but I wasn't wearing an apron, but she called me daddy in the kitchen. And Drew said that did not happen. It didn't go down like that. And Ralph took a moment that could have been an opportunity for them to blossom into a great co-parenting relationship and made it that it wasn't. My thing is, you know this man. You know this man. You know what he's capable of, and it's not telling the truth. So why would you give him that ammo about it was about co-parenting? That man feeding you, taking food from his hand to your mouth ain't got shit to do with no damn co-parenting. And this is also why it's hard for me to take Drew seriously, Drew or Ralph, in terms of this divorce. And sometimes it gives storyline. It's given it's some shit y'all are doing for the cameras, because it does look like off camera when y'all are not filming, y'all are playing happy family, and then it's War of the Roses when y'all are filming for the show. Co-parenting or no damn co-parenting, you ain't gonna be talking about my mama and my daddy who on the other side of glory, and then we in the kitchen feeding each other like everything is everything. I will feed my foot to your ass. Here's Cynthia go, but I honestly thought it was really nice. I thought it was cute to see y'all happy and getting along. I mean, not in a y'all should get back together kind of way, but just, you know, to see y'all having a good time, having fun. Let me tell you something. Cynthia don't manage her own damn relationships well. Cynthia always in a relationship with somebody who is clearly not good for her. I don't give a damn what you like seeing. I don't give a damn what looks good to you. And oh, y'all look so happy. Looks are deceiving, and she needs to get away from that deceiver. And Angela over there, by girl, when you living in a house with a man who can cook, get your food, or get your ass in the kitchen and make something for yourself. Order something. I wouldn't want that motherfucker poisoning me. And Porsha carrying on about, you know, divorces can be long, hard, and dry. So eventually he probably gonna come up them stairs. Girl, look, please. Simon is down to the internet carrying on, but you wouldn't give him none while y'all was married or going through a damn divorce, and that's a whole nother sidebar. I would like for Simon to shut the entire up, okay? I know that we is dragging Porsha from here to hell about what she did and how dirty that was, but you are the motherfucker that did it with her. She couldn't have done it if you didn't open the motherfucking door. So you is the head piece of in charge. Nobody feels sorry for you. All that carrying on about she tricked me and she wasn't even sleeping with me and I loved her and I don't know why she did me this way. Please go straight to hell. I know that ain't got nothing to do with the review, but I had to get that off my damn chest. I'm so sick of that big head motherfucker all over the internet. But anyway, when you're going through a divorce, I mean, I get what Porsha is saying. Yeah, sometimes when relationships is breaking up, sometimes you don't give them something to remember you by. I understand. But when that motherfucker is anything like Ralph, and he would disrespect you and everything that you came from, I wouldn't let that touch me. Then they mentioned that apparently Ralph be having women's come by the house. Drew said he be having women when she's there, when she's not there. Apparently they live in a gated community, so there's a manifesto where you can see everybody that comes and goes, all of the guests. And she be seeing the women's signing in and signing out, and apparently they went to some parent lunch or dinner or something for their kids at their children's school. Drew said she gets to the school and one of Ralph's hoes is at the school mean mugging her and shit. I'd have turned every damn thing over. No, I'm sorry. I ain't got no turn. I don't be thinking stuff through sometimes. Don't y'all take y'all ass down to them churn school, tearing everything up. And then they cut to commercial, went to the next segment, and did not finish the story, because I would like to hear the story about the bitch who was mugging her at her kid's school. She said something about the girl walked up to her asking her who she is. So the next viewer question to Drew was, or to the women in general, was why do none of the ladies seem to have any compassion for Drew going through her divorce, but they all show compassion to Porsha? And Kelly speaks up to say that she was actually hopeful that she and Drew would have hit it off more during the season, that they did get closer toward the end. But everybody called bullshit on that. They said you was a damn lie. Drew said, yeah, that sounds real good now, but at the time you were trying to have moments and you were going out of your way to call me all kinds of liars and things. Kelly said, well, I'll explain why I was calling you a liar. She said, because when she had the Balmain event where they were supposed to buy items and then a portion of the proceeds would go to the charity for the illness that her children deal with, she said, you said you bought stuff, but you didn't buy stuff. Drew said, I did buy stuff. What happened is they didn't have the sizes that I needed on hand for the items that I wanted to purchase. So the shopper found them, he ordered them, and they came in at a later time. They said the problem with that is because you didn't actually make the purchase in the store that day, there were no proceeds that went toward the charity. Well, who the fault is that? Why wouldn't y'all tell her that? My thing is, if y'all are there to make these purchases and part of the proceeds are supposed to go toward this charity or whatever, if they don't have the item and the order for the item is placed that day at that event, shouldn't it be the responsibility of the brand, the store, the manager, the charity, the somebody to collect the proceeds from the online sales? Because I mean, if you have that many people in the store, I wouldn't assume that everything that everybody wants is in stock and on hand at that time. Why would you call her a liar, especially if she did actually place an order simply because the charity didn't get a portion of the proceeds? And Drew said, I mean, if you had a real conversation with me and told me that was the issue, that the charity didn't get any portion of the proceeds of that sale, I could have made sure that they did or made a direct donation to the charity. So they moved on, and the next question to Drew is she actually Michael Jordan's cousin like she joked about during the season? And she said, in my head, absolutely, but y'all gotta learn to laugh a little more because it was a joke. And that, like, I'm sorry. If that's one of the moments they're using to call Drew a liar, that's some bullshit. I took it to be a joke when she said it. Like, I think anybody that has the same last name as a famous person jokes and says, oh, we're related. Like, if your last name is Jackson, I'm related to Michael. I'm related to Janet. Like, people do stuff like that. I always thought it was a joke. I didn't think she was seriously saying Michael Jordan was her cousin. I thought she was just shooting the shit. But they're all saying that she was dead serious. You were adamant that that was your cousin and yada yada. Girl, I don't give a damn. So the next question was directed to Shamea, and it was about why was there a difference of standards in regard to how Shamea relayed back whatever Drew said about the proceeds or the money that she and Dennis were going to make from making this album would be able to pay for PJ's college versus the standard that Angela was held to about bringing back what Shamea said. And Andy asked Porsha how she felt about how Shamea delivered it to her versus how she saw it actually play out on TV. And Porsha said, I mean, well, it was kind of cringy when she said it on TV, but it wasn't nearly what Shamea brought back. She said the way that Shamea brought it back pissed me off. But when I watched it on TV, it wasn't anything to be pissed off about. And here's Shamea go playing the victim about, well, you know what? Going forward next time, I'll just mind my business. I'll mind my business. Drew said, yeah, you should. So the next question was about Drew and Shamea going to dinner with Ralph and whether Drew felt like that was hypocritical since Porsha is raising absolute hell about Drew working with Dennis. And she said, yeah, she said, you sat up there and kikied with somebody who was going out of their way to try to humiliate me when you knew what I was going through with that man. And Porsha can't just say, yeah, that was wrong. Please forgive me. I apologize. That it gives that whole hug and that scene, that moment in part one was absolutely fake, because Porsha's response is, well, I mean, I thought it was fake, Drew. I can't keep up with the lies between you two. Just so the next question was Shamea. Why would you set up a meeting between Porsha and Ralph? You don't like being called a lapdog, but that was lapdog behavior. This girl said, yeah, it was. And I did it because she kept calling me a lapdog, so let me do some lapdog shit. Girl, Angela said, please stop saying that shit about yourself. Let it go. Shamea said, and honestly, I just felt like I was being a loyal friend, like, and points at Angela, said, like, you were being to her, to Drew. Angela said, no, ma'am, I'm too big to fit in anybody's lap. Don't play with me. Andy goes on to read another question to Drew about her relationship with Ty. Turnabout Ty from Basketball Wives. She said that I guess Ming put it out that Ty and Drew were speaking on average 3,000 minutes a month. And the question was, is this the real reason that you're getting a divorce? And Drew says something about they've maintained that they are friends and that's all they are. She said, and if you do the math, I don't think 3,000 minutes is really that much time. Phaedra over there loud and wrong, but that's about 10 minutes a day. No, it's about 100 minutes a day, meaning that you're averaging about an hour and a half or a little more than an hour and a half of conversation with this person on a daily basis in a 30-day period. Shamia said, girl, I'm married and I don't talk to my damn husband for 3,000 minutes a month. And now I hear Drew go about, did we see a receipt on that? Apparently Min did. It sound like she looked at the damn phone bill and added it all up. So then comes the question about Dennis's friend Black, who they're saying Drew was actually dating and not Dennis, and asking about the relationship between them. She said they just friends too. He happens to own the #1 hookah company in the world. And Andy is asking, well, weren't you on FaceTime with him backstage? She said, yeah, I was. And if you don't mind, Andy, I'd like to present the ladies with, she pulls out the man's product and passes the product around to all of the ladies on the show, basically to promote his product for free. Girl, that's your damn man. Don't play with us. And everybody else is saying that too. And she's, no, he's just my friend. He has a lot of friends that promote his product. Girl, please. So the next question was, well, Drew, if you were actually seeing somebody, why wouldn't you just come clean about that in order to clear up the whole issue with the rumors about Dennis? She said, well, she thought it was obvious because if you look at Dennis and you look at Ralph, you can tell that Dennis ain't her type. Here go Porsha, well, Black ain't all that either. Drew said, I don't talk about my friend. Porsha said, well, you trying to talk about my friend? No, y'all talking about each other, man. You still screwing your baby daddy on the low, just like that's her damn man on the low. And Andy asked, well, if you were seeing someone, would you bring them on the show? She said, oh yeah, if I had a boyfriend, I would. Porsha said, or a girlfriend. Drew said, or if you had a girlfriend, because I heard you was flirting with Ty too. And yeah, she did that whole damn interview with that fake crying about she thinks she might go to women because she's just over men at this point. No, you done run through the mother, because everybody know your game. So now you think you gonna switch over to women. And just like Simon needs to shut the entire up, you need to leave us the entire alone. And Porsha about, well, yeah, if I find a woman, if I find a Ty, she'll be sitting right behind me. Ty 2.0, we know. So now we move on to the segment where the men come out. The first question from Andy to Dennis is, we noticed that you and Porsha are not matching tonight. Porsha said, yeah, I sent you a picture of what I'm wearing. Why aren't we matching? Because he wants his other women's to know y'all are not an item, ma'am. Andy acknowledged Ralph and said, we see you got your shirt on today. We don't give a damn. So he turns to Shamea and said, where's your husband? She said, oh, he's home with his kids, but he sent some beautiful yellow flowers. Andy said, to who? To you? She said, I mean, not to nobody else around here. Andy said, so y'all couldn't get a babysitter? I know that's right. She said it's just not his thing, you know. And I listen, I understand that. And I understand he don't want to be on TV. He wasn't interested in her being on TV. But at this point, it gives selfish. It gives that everything about this marriage is surrounding him. All down to the keep trying to have babies, even though she is struggling with fertility, even though they have 2 children and one of them has health issues that is requiring a lot of their time and attention. And on top of all of that, you won't even show up to support her. Even if you sat there in silence, why wouldn't you show up to be there for your wife? We got Charles Oakley here, who's a whole NBA legend, who will show up to have his wife's back, and it's just too much for you. And speaking of Charles, they moved on to acknowledge Charles. You can see Andy is low-key fanning out. Andy said, in all my years of doing the Housewives, I never thought I would see the enforcer Charles Oakley here, and they all started clapping. Charles said, yeah, sometimes you need the enforcer, but today I'm just here to support my wife. Yes, go ahead with your grumpy ass. So Andy starts the segment by asking Dennis, did he talk to Porsha about working with Drew? This man said he had a conversation with Ralph because he and Ralph are friends and he wanted to talk to him man to man, but he assumed that Drew would handle the woman side of it. So Porsha said, are you telling me that you asked me or no? He said, I mean, well, we talked about working together. She said, so you told me that. He said, I mean, we didn't have an in-depth conversation. I thought it was on Drew to handle all that. Well, child, Drew spoke up and said, now hold on now, because you told me that you did have the conversation with Porsha because I expressed to you that I had been reaching out to Porsha to try to have the conversation with her. And you told me y'all had a conversation and she's good. This man he lied. He's lying. Porsha said, well, he didn't. And I didn't fully confront him about you guys doing anything until I found out about the filming. Drew said, well, can you acknowledge that I told you that there was something I wanted to talk to you about? Porsha said, but just say what you wanted to talk about. Just say, listen, we're going into the season and we're going to be filming and yada, yada, yada. Here's the thing. Porsha is doing gymnastics to hold anybody accountable but her baby daddy. Your baby daddy is sitting here on national TV saying he lied. He lied and he sent you out there to look as dumb as you did. That he told you some shit that was absolutely not true. You've been biting this girl's head off all season behind your baby daddy being the liar that he been. And she's still going back and forth with Drew, trying to make Drew the problem for what her baby daddy didn't communicate to her. And I truly believe it's because they still fucking, and Porsha cannot tell herself the truth about the fact that this man is playing in her face still to this day. Because you won't have to stand in the mirror and realize you a damn fool to still be laying it low and spreading it wide with your baby daddy who's been a damn lie. Porsha just will not accept it, and Drew finally said, so you just not gonna take any accountability. Okay, got it. She's steady telling Drew about the point is you should have texted, you should have communicated. Turn around and tell your baby daddy that. Tell your baby's father that he should have done exactly what he said he did. He should have come to you and said, hey, I'm going to be working with your castmate because we're going to be working together and it's going to cross over into when y'all start filming. I'm going to probably do some scenes with her. I'm just letting you know up front. Porsha is the ultimate pick-me, and pick-me's refuse to hold a damn man accountable. They will go for another woman's neck all day long while they let a man run over them. So the next question to Dennis was, when confronted about the whole situation about Drew wanting to sleep with you in lieu of paying for studio time or whatever, you kind of dodged owning up to saying that. Did you tell Porsha that Drew wanted to sleep with you? This man said absolutely not. Porsha said, so then what was the text, Dennis? Dennis said, the text read as I'm trying to get some money. That's what the text read. Porsha said, the text said, I'm trying to get some money, not F. That's what it said, verbatim. And they go back to the clip that they should have played in part 1, where Porsha is actually reading the text messages, because earlier she don't remember what the messages said. I don't know what it said verbatim. But now that your baby daddy is sitting up here making an absolute fool of you, now you remember. Now this is what it said. Like, this is all some bullshit. And what I noticed when they played the clip of Porsha reading the messages at the table is it didn't sound like an exchange between Drew and Dennis. Because the message she read said something about, I told Drew that I would not her, I want my money. So that's somebody that he's telling that lie to. He's selling the story to Porsha. And Dennis up there about Ralph is his brother in real life, so to even insinuate that he would be trying to sleep with Drew is ridiculous. Porsha said, then what were you responding to when you said, I don't want no P, run me my money? He said, I don't even know if that's what the message said. She said, that's exactly what the message said. And this is the damn man. You spent an entire season making a fool of yourself up. But as Drew said, for the record, that message did not come from me. You didn't see an exchange with me saying that. And Ralph goes on to say that it got a little weird for him. And he looks at Dennis and said, because Drew mentioned to me that you were trying to holler at her too. Drew said, I never. And she went to dragging that motherfucker. So now all of them sitting over there like the damn moral majority, like, oh, wow, Drew. Porsha over there with her mouth hanging open like she's in shock. Girl, deal with your lying ass baby daddy. Drew said, you are not going to bring your ass up here and start your lying. She said, Dennis has never been inappropriate with me, and I never told you that. So for you to come up here and start lying out your face when I tell you I hollered. When Drew said, you ain't going to come up here and start your lying. Because I just feel like Ralph lies like he breathes. I don't trust nothing that comes out of his mouth. And he up there, but I don't lie. Drew said, try to do the right thing for once. She said, you come here and you're all white, you got your Bigen, you're up here for the camera. She said, every time you come here, you do the same thing. You lie and you play this victim, and it's not cute. And he does, Ralph reminds me of a child in a man's body. Even to watch him, the way that she told me, he lies like a child. So Andy asked Dennis, does he see himself getting back with Porsha? He said, well, I love Porsha and she's getting back on the market, so you never know. She over there just smiling like a Cheshire cat. You a damn fool. This man just made a complete fool of you. And you over there just skinning and grinning because he might want you back. Just, I'll be damned. Buy some self-esteem the next time you go to the store. So then they asked Dennis about him supposedly taking Britt on a date and bringing her a diamond chain and sliding into Kelly's DMs. He said, well, yeah, he did take Britt out, but that was long before he ever met Porsha. He said that Kelly ain't telling the whole story about me being in her DMs, and then he tried to slide past that. They said, well, what's the whole damn story? This motherfucker said, I'm a gentleman, so it's all good. Hold on. Kelly said, now stop it, Dennis. Let's be very clear. We ain't never been out. We've never done anything. We've never talked on the phone. I mean, you might have called once or twice. They said, well, hold on, once or twice is talking on the damn phone. She said it wasn't like that. Like, he would call me and ask me, you outside? And I'd be like, no, I'm not outside. I'm inside. Oh well. And Porsha over there trying to laugh it off. Like, ooh, now Dennis trying to get inside. Kelly said, but it's more about business than anything. She said, ooh, yeah, business. Girl, your baby daddy is community property. He gets around. He likes showing off his little assets. And you over there just, I mean, embarrassing yourself, tarnishing your brand all over TV behind this man who chased any damn tail that's shaking. So then they asked Ralph about him having women come to the house. He said he did have a woman come to the house, but she did not come inside. They just happened to be fitness influencers and they were producing fitness content, so it was all outside. Man, shut your ass up. Now, Ralph does go on to say that his issue with Drew is that she got all the smoke for him when they're filming, but when they're not filming off camera, she seems to love him, and it's confusing to him. And I'm gonna tell you now, that's one time I don't think he's lying. Like, I do feel like they do this whole, we're getting divorced, I don't deal with him, I can't stand him for the cameras, but then you doing shit like letting him drop meat in your mouth. So I do believe him when he says that. He said, at the end of the day, I love you, I'm not here to be your enemy, and I just want to work together to raise our beautiful children. Drew said, yeah, all that sound real good, those are beautiful words, but she would like to see actions that mirror those words. She said the reason that he's getting the energy that he gets from her is because of this press tour that he's put himself on, saying all kinds of stuff about her mom, her dad. This fool said, but you hugged me after that. This nigga. So Andy asked him, has he apologized to her for what he said about her mom? And he said no. Andy said, why not? This man said because he had been there for them at a time when they lost everything and he was there to pick up the pieces. And he feels like in going through this divorce that her mom should take a position of basically stepping back and minding her business and not having anything to say. And after he said all that, Andy said, so you haven't apologized to her mother? He said, no, but I will, because I do feel like it's a conversation that needs to be had. You damn Skippy. He said, you know, naturally in going through a divorce, people tend to focus on the woman and everything that she's dealing with, but men go through things too. We have emotional issues that we're dealing with too. Then go find you somebody to talk to, but you don't take your ass to the internet and talk about her parents. So they moved over to Charles. I'm good, because I'm tired of these motherfuckers. So they're asking Charles, you know, did he watch any of the season? He said, yeah, I watched a couple shows. And they're asking him about, you know, his perception of the season and about the fact that he seems very standoffish in terms of affection. And why, when Angela would ask him for things like a kiss on TV, why would he kind of push her away, or he'd be hesitant to do that? And he said, you know, I'm just not the kind of guy to be all over Angela, all over TV. And some men are like that. Like, everybody is not a PDA, licking people in the face on TV kind of person. Like, all that shit Phaedra be doing with that random man that she met on Married to Medicine, all of that is performative. All that bunch of extra kissing and shit, like, please. And everybody don't have to do that in order to prove that they have a solid relationship or to have a solid relationship. Now, I'm not saying that Charles ain't a little bit grumpy and you know, he done stepped out and he done some things, and so maybe you do need to be going a little bit above and beyond to prove that you is super invested into your relationship. But I also understand where he's coming from. The man said, at the end of the day, all that matters is that I love her. She knows I love her, and if I didn't love her, I wouldn't be here for her. I'm here for her and our kids, and I love us. So, and Andy's so damn shady. Andy said, I have to give it up to you for a man of your profile, because you really showed up for her. And he said, yeah, I mean, I'm her husband. I'm supposed to have her back and be there for her through thick and thin, while we looking at Shamea with nobody sitting behind her. They did go on to ask him about Angela's mom, and seeing Angela's mom say on TV that she did want to mend fences with him and she wanted to offer him an apology. And they asked how he felt about that. And he goes on explaining about how he loves everybody mama, because he got a mama, his mama 90 years old, and he respects everybody's moms. But he did appreciate getting the opportunity to see her say that he's sorry that they lost her. But, at least she got to say that. So they asked Charles about the women talking about the fact that nobody knew that he was married, and asked, was he hiding that he was married? He said, no, shit, I don't know who married up here either. He said, and I keep hearing people saying I'm in the streets and they saying they know me, but they don't really know me. He said, I heard Shamea say that she met me before. He said, the first time I met her was on this show. And apparently they were both at somebody's wedding that they know, a mutual friend of theirs. And she's, well, yeah, I met you several times. I met you at the wedding. He said, hold on now. You didn't meet me. We were just at the same wedding. I said, you better tell him, call you T.I. You might have seen me in the streets, but baby, you don't know me. Shamea said, well, no, me and my husband met you there. He said, I don't even remember that. Great, go. And they did produce the picture of Shamea and her husband at the wedding, and then a picture of Charles and Shamea's husband where they took a picture together. And like Shamea said, maybe you don't remember me. I mean, I get it because you're an NBA legend. And right. Y'all were, I hate that, I'm not trying to be condescending or mean, but y'all were essentially fans. He don't know y'all. And to be in the same event is not to say that we met y'all. To say I took a picture with you because I knew who you were, but I know you still to this day don't have a clue who I am of all the people you've met throughout the span of your career. That's you don't know that person. Shamea said, I also told Angela, when we met at my birthday party, that, I've met your husband at the NBA games, but I'm so happy to meet you finally. But that wasn't a dig. Angela said, I absolutely believe that was a dig. She said, because how could you know that Charles is married or know anything about him if you don't actually know him? And that's the thing. People mix up knowing of a person and knowing them. Knowing of a person, having been in the same space with a person, frequenting the same spots as a person is not the same as knowing them. Andy moved on to Phaedra and he asked Charles, do you remember meeting Phaedra? He just looked at her for a second. He said, no. So she over there just shifting her eyes back and forth. Andy said, well, Phaedra, where did y'all meet? She with that stuttering and stammering, I've been in several of the same rooms as Charles. Charles said, that's not meeting me though. We might have been in the same bathroom. You still don't know me. I know that's right. Y'all wouldn't be walking around here dragging my name all through the street and you don't even know me. And then she starts explaining that the way that she knows Charles or knows of Charles is because she knows Sheree very well, and he used to date Sheree. So Andy is asking, well, when did you date Sheree? He said back in like 2005, 6, 7, literally 20 years ago. And I said this in my last review, and just for the record, I recorded that review long before this episode aired, before I started seeing any clips for this episode, and I said something about Phaedra gives me that they were in the same rooms, in the same spaces, but she never really met this man. She doesn't have any relationship or familiarity with this man. And people like Phaedra do that. They like to seem like they have this whole network and they're so well known and they're so well connected, and you don't be knowing them damn people. Charles was irritated. Charles said, yes, Sheree and I were a couple, but that don't mean you know me. He said, why do people be saying they knew me because I was with Sheree and they knew Sheree? She said, well, what I'm saying is I've been in your presence on numerous occasions. Child, let me tell you something. This is groupie behavior. I'm so sorry. I've been around him. I've been in the same room as him. And the man probably never even noticed you. Didn't know you were around. Didn't know who you were. You were no one of significance. You did not matter. And Angela said, you sitting here, pussyfooting around it, saying all this, we've been in the same room. She said, but you were saying it to be shady, calling me the secret wife of Charles Oakley and saying that you knew him so well and y'all had hung out together and like y'all were friends. Phaedra said, well, I said it was a secret because it was unknown to you. And when you don't know a person, you're not going to know all their business unless you go researching like you do. She said, I never said that he was having an affair. I never said anything about a secret baby. I said I hadn't seen the man in over 10 years, so you don't know him. And now she's trying to excuse her saying it as this is Housewives and she was just throwing shade. Girl, please. Charles said, well, why is it a conversation about whether I'm married anyway? Why are y'all so concerned? I'm the only husband here. Where y'all husbands at? Well, everybody got quiet. Porsha over there about, well, I don't know where mine is at, actually. Charles back there about, we just talking. When I tell y'all, Charles had me crying, laughing, because he is dead serious. And Angela turned around like, don't start your shit and here today. He said, I'm just saying, y'all know my name. You could have Googled me. Google would tell you I've been married for 10 years. Angela said 11. He said, I mean, well, however the hell long it's been, I don't even know. So Andy asked Charles about what he thinks about this whole rumor about the outside baby, and he retells the story about how Angela was trying to encourage Wendy Williams through her situation with her husband having an outside baby, and Wendy took that back to her show and twisted it completely. So then Angela said, yeah, and Charles, tell them about how Wendy was inviting you over for dinner. Andy said, while y'all were married? She said, yes, multiple times. He said, well, it wasn't no multiple times. It was just one time. But I didn't go because she got a cat, and I'm allergic to cats. And Angela said, so if she didn't have the cat, you would have went. He said, I mean, well, I drink wine. Child, what I tell y'all, Charles had me weak. Charles remind me of my granddaddy. Let me tell you, my grandmama used to say about my granddaddy, don't ask him nothing you don't want to know because he too fool to lie. He gonna tell you whatever come to his mind. Angela says, so you saying you would have gone on a date with Wendy Williams? He said, I mean, I would have had a glass of wine with her. She said, so you saying you would have gone on a date? He said, I mean, well, I don't think that's a date, but if you call it whatever you call it, I'd have had a glass of wine with her. I drink wine. So Andy goes on to ask Charles about the incident that happened with him at Madison Square Garden, how that affected their marriage. And he said, you know, that it was an incident that stuck with him for a while, and that he did have to get some therapy and kind of work through some things. And Angela said it put a strain on our marriage, and we had to separate for a while because he wanted to be outside. He wanted to be doing whatever he was doing, and he wasn't going to do that with me. And Charles is talking about how much he appreciates that Angela stuck with him through all that, and how therapy has really worked, and how he really likes their therapist. Here's Shamea. Shamea just corny as hell. About, so to be clear, you would have took Wendy Williams out for a glass of wine, not Wendy the therapist. Charles just looked at her. He said, no, that's two different people. Like, you ain't even funny. Shut up. So we're getting to the end of the reunion. Andy is going to wrap it up, and he's asking them about their final comments and how they feel about how everything went. Andy and Drew are saying that they're happy that there was some resolve between Drew and Porsha. Drew is saying she appreciates what accountability she did get from Porsha. Kelly speaks up to say that she hopes that Shamia and Porsha are able to repair their friendship, even though she lost her friendship with Britt. Andy is asking Phaedra what her few weeks back was like, and she said that Grenada was the best trip she's ever been on. She would do it 100 times over. Yeah, okay. And Andy turns to Angela and says he remembers seeing her earlier in the season, and that she just seemed so amazed that she was even cast for the show, and asked, what did you even see in me? He said, and now on the back end, how do you feel seeing that you're essentially a fan favorite? And honestly, that is probably exactly why she became a fan favorite, because something about Angela is just down to earth. It's just humble and real. Like, she's fabulous now. Don't get it twisted when I say humble. But there's something about her that is just personable, that is relatable. She's just a real person. She doesn't seem to put on airs. Like, what you see is what you get. This is just who I am, for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it serves her so well. Andy thanked Cynthia for her contribution as a friend of the show and said how she kind of held everything together. And then he turns to Shamea and talks about the fact that we've seen her on the show for years, but we really got to know her this season, and asked about her takeaways. She said it's been an incredible journey, and she's learned to be more open about her feelings, and that she hopes going forward she'll be able to build alliances with all of the ladies. Andy asked Porsha how she felt looking back at the season, and she said she's had rough seasons before, but none this transformative. And that, you know, it can be difficult watching the season back and watching yourself not be your best, but she doesn't blame anybody but herself. She said, but as she sits up here among other divorcees, she just has to thank God that she is in her right mind after everything she has gone through. She said, and to Shamea, she hates the way that the season went, but she continues to love her and to cheer for her, and she loves everybody that's on these couches. And so they brought the reunion to an end with them bringing the fans out about the where them fans at. And they supposed to be doing a dance. Andy is a white man, Jewish man, some kind of man with no rhythm and no color, Lord. He up there trying to learn to dance. He gonna bust out at the end by, when do we get to twerk? Just sit your ass down. Child, that's all. And I ain't got no more. Thank y'all so much for coming down here, listening to me, and letting me get this off my chest all season long. I sincerely appreciate y'all. Y'all, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you've not already. And in the meantime, until next time, just like every time, you know I love you and I mean it. Bye.